Alebrijes are a very famous and popular Mexican craft, which is especially known by their originality and creativity on the making. Even though they seem like they have existed for centuries, their actual origin is so peculiar and not so old. It's totally a motivational story. Pedro Linares is known as the father of this peculiar craft. He was a talented Mexican crafter from Mexico City who made figures with only cardboard material. Back in 1936, Don Pedro, who was only 30 years old, went through a big health crisis that led him to the creation of this masterpiece. He caught a big disease which left him in bed for a long while, but not only that, but also left him in bankruptcy, since the funds were too low to finance all the treatments and medicines he needed. Pedro and his family were only waiting for the tragic moment of his death. Instead of that, one day he fell on a deep, deep dream, which felt almost like dying for him. He was unconscious. He felt that he was walking through the woods, green rocks all over the view. And then he heard some strange noises. When he went checking, he saw in between other blended animals a winged donkey and a rooster with bull horns. After that trip to that magic and colorful world, he came back to a real world with his biggest idea and hit, the one that led him not only to be under the spotlights of Mexico, but under the spotlights of the whole world, exposing his little and creative cardboard figures all over the world. Sadly, Don Pedro died a while later in 1992, but not before leaving his legacy, exposing it to the world and winning a National Science and Art Award. A very interesting story for a little interesting figure. Now, my partner Gabriela will tell us more about how they are and how they look.
Before explaining the history behind these alebrijes in the community, we have to keep in mind that the Oaxacan alebrijes take the concept of the creator Linares, but these have peculiarities that characterize them. An example of this is that they can visually try to capture the sense of an owl, being in our Mexican folklore the representation of a mixture between human and animal. The alebrijes of Oaxaca can also visually represent the tonas, which is the word remembering that from the Zapotec culture. They were the protected animals which was linked to every individual from birth. But a very important point is that their appearance has no rules in the terms of shape or size. They are fantastic figures or monsters whose greatest virtue is the use of vibrant colors. Now let's talk about the history of how the community of San Antonio Arrazola and San Martin Tilcajete started doing handicrafts. Through the growing popularity of these crafts in the Mexican Republic, many artisans from San Antonio Arrazola and San Martin Tilcajete, a Zapotec town in Central Valleys, began to imitate the idea, turning their homes into production workshops. But the person who is actually believed to have mixed the local tradition with the original idea of Pedro Linares to give rise to the Oaxacan alebrije was the artisan Manuel Jimenez Ramirez, a Mexican sculptor and painter born in San Antonio Arrazola. For this reason, he is considered the father of the alebrijes in the area of this country. Now, my partner Joan will tell you how these peculiar animals are made in addition to their role in the economy of the area.
I will explain to you how to make an alebrije. To make an alebrije we need some materials, which are newspaper, paste, white glue, flat shears, adhesive tape, scissors, pencil, galvanized wire, cardboard, plaster, brush, and paints. The process to make an alebrije is simple but laborious. We start by making an engrudo with water and flour heated over low heat until it thickens. With the wire we form the body, head, and our legs. We make paper balls to give volume to head, body, and our legs, and we stick them to the wire with masking tape. We cover it with piece of newspaper using the engrudo while we give shape to the alebrije. We must put between 4 and 5 layers. Once dry we put several layers of plaster and let it dry. When it is dry we paint it with the colors. If necessary we must give several coats of paint. Alebrijes, besides being beautiful and ingenious figures, are a source of economic income for certain parts of the country, as is the case of San Antonio Arrazola and San Martín Tilcajete, located in Oaxaca, which have approximately 250 artisan workshops. The price of the alebrijes depends on the size and detail of the decoration. The cheapest one costs 150 pesos, but one of these beautiful specimens can be worth 30,000 pesos or more, which is why alebrijes are part of the income of many artisan families. These two towns regularly hold four Alebrijes fairs with unique and prestigious pieces in the region, which is why the elaboration of Alebrijes has reactivated the economy in both towns, attracting national and foreign visitors. The vice-president of the Alebrijes Fair Organizing Committee, Felipe Fabián Ojeda, expects to raise half a million pesos this year, helping to artisans to continue with the tradition. To finish, Mónica will talk to us about the social aspiration that Alebrijes give.
As we can see, Alebrijes had impulsed and stimulated more than one crafter's creativity, inspiration, and aspirations. The beauty of these little statues is high valued not only to the market, but to the art that reminds us the big capacity of creating and dreaming any kind of rare animals, which can come to crafters in a dream like it did to Don Pedro, or they can just question the limits of their imaginations and explore the making of this peculiar craft, which has come to stay, making an impression even on pop art and pop culture.